Linear and compound inequalities. Use interval notation to express the solution set and graph the solution on a number line. Here we have 2x plus 4 is greater than 10. This is a linear inequality, so I'm going to solve it just like I would a linear equation, but instead of an equal sign, I'm going to keep the inequality sign. So first, I'll subtract 4 on both sides, and we have 2x is greater than 6. Next, we'll divide both sides by 2, and we get x is greater than 3. This is my solution, x is greater than 3, but I want to write it in interval notation. So that tells me that x can be 3, but 3 is not included in the set, so I'm going to write it with a parenthesis next to it. And since x is greater than 3, it can go all the way to infinity. And of course, we always write a parenthesis next to the infinity sign. So my answer is 3 to infinity in interval notation. And then if we wanted to put that on a number line, we could just find the number 3. We'll say it's here, and that is not included in the set, so we'll write a parenthesis, and it can go all the way to positive infinity, which is towards the right of the number line. And we'll put an arrow on that line to show that it keeps on going. And that is my answer to the graph of the solution. Solve the compound inequality. We have -1 is less than or equal to 1/3 x plus 2 is less than 5. This is a compound inequality because I have essentially two inequalities, because there's two inequality signs. In order to solve this, I'm going to isolate the x in the middle, and whatever I do to isolate the x in the middle, I'm going to do to the right side and the left side. So first, I want to subtract 2 from all three parts of this inequality. So I'm going to subtract 2 on the right side, and I'm going to subtract 2 on the far left side. So on the far left, we have -1 minus 2, which is -3, and that's less than or equal to the 1/3 x, which is less than 5 minus 2, which is 3. Next, I want to isolate the x. So right now, x is being multiplied by 1/3. To get rid of the 1/3, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply all three parts by 3/1. So I'll multiply the far right side by 3/1, and I'll multiply the far left side by 3/1. So now I have 3 times -3, which is -9, is less than or equal to x, which is less than 3 times 3, which is 9. So this is my solution, but I want to write it in interval notation. So that tells me that I'll write the smallest term, which is a -9. I'll write that on the left side of my interval. And I'm going to place a bracket next to it because there's a line underneath my inequality sign. Next, I'll write my highest value in my interval, which is the number that appears on the right, and that is a +9. And I'm going to put a parenthesis next to the +9 because there is no line underneath that inequality sign. My answer is -9 to 9.